Hello guys, welcome to this video. Today I'll be doing my top 10 favorite movies. There's not much explaining to be done here, so let's just get right into this video. In 10th place is going to be Sicario Day of the Soldado. This movie received a lot of hate, which I find surprising because I love the direction that they took with this movie and all of the incredibly smart choices they made with it. The directors and writers knew what they were doing with this movie and made it great. This is an unpredictable film with great performances, and it is severely underrated. In 9th place is going to be The Shining. The Shining is the best horror movie I've ever seen. It has incredible performances, very creepy atmosphere, and everything about it is great. There's no flaws with this movie. I think it's perfect. It doesn't rely on jump scares too, and focuses on actual horror, and I think that's great. That's how horror is supposed to be done. And they did a fantastic job with this movie. Jack Nicholson gives one of the best performances I've ever seen in any movie ever, and that's saying a lot. Now coming in 8th place is going to be Training Day. This is a dark, suspenseful movie with awesome performances, a cool soundtrack, and some really good action. Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke are terrific in this movie. There is one scene in this movie that's in a car, and it's great. It gets to your emotions really well, and this movie just leaves you not thinking about it like a sci-fi movie would, but just like sitting there and just realizing what you just watched and just taking it in. This movie's great, and I absolutely loved it. In 7th place is going to be Logan. This movie is incredible, by far the best superhero movie I've ever seen. This is again a dark, brutal, and extremely intense movie that is very emotional and depressing. I remember having my mind blown the first time I saw this. I think it was like in May 2017. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it in theaters and I got it spoiled. Man, that sucked, but it's still a great movie. Coming in at 6th place is going to be Predator. The first time I saw this movie, I was blown away by how good it was. I think it's the best 80s action movie because it has amazing action, awesome one-liners, a great soundtrack that wouldn't leave my head right after I saw the movie, and it is very suspenseful, and it's just a great time. It has its cheesy moments, but that just adds to the greatness of this movie. When I saw it, I knew that Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't in any of the sequels, so that made it even more unpredictable and suspenseful, and that's what made my experience 80 times better. In 5th place is going to be The Matrix. This is a sci-fi action classic that I absolutely love. This movie's story is awesome, its characters are awesome, its action is awesome, its soundtrack is awesome. Everything about this movie is awesome. The first time I saw this movie, I didn't expect it to be like this great. I heard that it was like a classic and everything, but when I saw it, I was just absolutely blown away. I remember I had a grin on my face the whole time during this movie. It was awesome. I was just so excited during this movie, and it's just a phenomenal movie. Taking the spot of 4th place is going to be John Wick. Speaking of surprising action movies, John Wick is the movie that I really was not expecting to be that good, and I ended up loving it. It is a simple action movie with a great world building, very cool and unique performances, an incredible soundtrack, one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. In fact, probably like my favorite soundtrack from like a movie. And non-stop, well-choreographed action. This movie's action scenes are beautiful, especially the one in the club. It's just every action scene in this movie is awesome. This is one of the best action movies I have ever seen, period. Now, we are in the top 3. So in 3rd place is going to be Terminator 2 Judgment Day. This was a movie I've heard so much hype for before I saw it, so that made me extremely excited to go see it. And this movie didn't let me down one bit. T2 is absolutely incredible. I can't tell you how pumped I was and excited I was during this movie. The action and soundtrack in this movie were the things that really got me hyped. Arnold Schwarzenegger is great in this movie, and he brings a lot of fun to the film. This is also a very emotion-filled movie as well, and that adds a lot more to the movie, which doesn't make it a typical action thriller. And it's just a sci-fi classic. This is the best action movie from the 90s. And there's no doubt about that. This is an absolutely phenomenal movie, and it's an action masterpiece. In 2nd place is going to be Mission Impossible Fallout. I remember last summer sitting in this theater with my friends watching this movie in IMAX and having a total blast. Fallout was one of the best action movies I've ever seen. I loved it from beginning to end. It was my best theater experience I've ever had, and it was everything I wanted it to be. This movie has thrilling action, an awesome MI soundtrack, Mission Impossible soundtrack, and it's a non-stop thrill ride. I cannot wait for Mission Impossible 7 and 8. I hope they are as great as this one, because this one was absolutely phenomenal. Fallout is really like one of the best action movies I've seen in years, and I think it's probably the best it's not the best action movie of the decade, because we're still not done with this list. But this was an incredible movie, and it's an action masterpiece. You guys might already know what my number one favorite movie is, but for those of you who don't know, in first place for my favorite movie of all time is John Wick Chapter 2. John Wick 2 is an absolutely phenomenal movie. It has amazingly filmed action, awesome dialogue, a great soundtrack, intense shootouts and standoffs, and more unique performances from the first one, and even more people in the cast for this one as well. And that just adds a lot to the movie as well. John Wick 2 built upon the world of the first and made it better and more interesting. John Wick Chapter 2 is I think the best action movie. Well, it's the best action movie I've ever seen, in my opinion, but a lot of people wouldn't consider it the best action movie ever made. I won't even consider it the best, but still, it's my favorite, and I absolutely loved it for good reasons. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Subscribe if you're new. And I know I went through this video really fast, but if I went into every movie so in depth and everything, this movie would be an hour long. And I wanted to keep it short and get my opinion out there, and hopefully I added some life to this dead video, but still. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.